This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Good evening and welcome to the February 27, 2024 meeting of the North Haven Board of Police Commissioners. My name is Larry Lazaroff. I'm the chairman. To my left is Bob Hannon, our vice chairman. To my right, Mark Alfieri, our secretary. Alden Mead, Commissioner Mead is absent, and Commissioner Robin Wilson is right there. May I ask for approval of the minutes of the January 3rd special and regular special meeting for executive and regular meetings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And also ask for approval of the minutes of the January 23rd regular meeting of regular executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Correspondence?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have one piece of correspondence this evening, and this is addressed to Chief Klein on behalf of Mr. Dean Crisp, who's the president and CEO of an organization called Police Servant Officer, and they honor police officers from across our great nation. And this year, it looks like Officer Michael Harden, actually Detective Michael Harden, is the recipient of this award. I've never heard of this organization. Maybe the chief can talk about it if he knows more than I do. But it looks like a great organization, and being selected is quite an honor. He says in part, he says we receive a number of nominations weekly from across the nation. So it looks like it's a great honor that Detective Michael Harden just received. And I know Mike Harden, and I can attest that he's just an outstanding police officer, great detective, just all around good guy, and good credit to this department.
This has already occurred then?
Yeah, it looks like he said, just says the letters to inform you that one of your officers, Michael Harden, has been selected as a servant officer. They were nominated because of their acts of service to others and respective communities. Gandhi once said, the best ways to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. And he just says, please pass along our gratitude. Our company has made it part of our personal mission to recognize officers and let the public know that cops are good. Please congratulate them and encourage them to keep up the great work. Thank you, Dean Crisp. Like I said, I've never heard of this organization, but it sounds like a wonderful thing that this.
What was that name again?
Looks like it's called Servant Officer, and like I said, they honor cops from across the country. And it's from, like I said, this guy, Mr. Dean Crisp. It doesn't say where he's from, but I don't know if you have any more to speak to that from this.
Sure. So we're also not familiar with the organization. It was a nice letter.
Sure is, yeah.
I don't know the details in the process. There's no ceremony, but that's something I received recently, so I thought it'd be appropriate to pass along to the commission.
Yeah, no, well, congratulations to Detective Michael Hart. Like I said, he really is an outstanding cop.
So on a side note,
well-deserved.
as I'm sure all of you remember, Mike was involved in saving a baby's life years ago.
That's right.
It comes up fairly often, and that was the catalyst for this. Actually, this Friday, CNN is going to do a story about Mike Harden. So he's going to interview. I actually just got a text 15 minutes ago that the mother of the child, who's been great, very supportive. Mike's now the godfather of the young girl. They stay in touch often. So CNN's going to do a story Friday, and I'll let the commission know when that's going to air.
That's awesome. It's going to take place in the department?
The
The interview?
at the young child's home. They may come here. Mike has training on Friday, so CNN may come to where the training is scheduled to get some footage.
That's great.
Nice. Yeah, that's
Nice,
terrific.
great publicity.
So,
That's excellent.
yeah, that's the only piece of correspondence. And again, congratulations to Mike Harden.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, for Chairman's report, I'll be brief. Last week, there was a pension board meeting. I wasn't able to attend. However, I did speak to people who were in attendance, and everything seems to be going according to normal, as always. So we're in good shape with that. I wanted to compliment the chief and deputy for their presentation for the budget workshop, which I'm sure I'll talk about, but they did an outstanding job, well prepared, obviously, answered every question thoroughly, and it's just a pleasure to be there and see you do a great job for us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And one last reminder, as I do monthly, please lock your cars, your homes, your vehicles, your sheds, everything, because you have to be proactive to help to save your property. With that, I will turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, and I'd like to start by thanking all of you. I know Commissioner Mead's not here, but thanks to all of you for attending the budget workshop. I think that goes far, showing the support, not just for the deputy chief and I, for the department consistently, but for our budget requests. We meet once a month. The commissioner, the chairman and I speak often as far as updates, what's going on, what our needs are. So knowing that you all support the budget that we crafted moving forward, I think goes a long way. Where the Board of Finance, they're the safeguard of the finances for town. Sometimes they don't connect the finances with the actual needs of the community and the police department. So I appreciate you all showing up and showing your support. Moving on with the budget, at the end of January, we were at 56.2% expended. So we're still under our self-imposed tracking limits. And it's the same story that you've heard me say the past couple of months. Overtime is tracking high. The catalyst for that is dispatch being short, as well as crime suppression overnight for obvious reasons. And I'll get into some recent arrests, which shows, I think, some success as far as staffing those overnight hours. And again, I appreciate the budget workshop support. I think it went fairly well. Hopefully we'll know soon what the Board of Finance does moving forward as we go towards the town meeting where the budget will be presented. And that referendum will eventually be on May 21st. For everyone watching at home who wants to go out and vote for the budget. Looking at the budget in your packets, does anybody have any questions as far as where we're tracking, any lines specifically, or any questions about next year's proposal? Good. Okay. So under the traffic report, as we discussed last month, there was a motion and it was voted in favor to send a letter to the DOT for consideration of approval for the electronic speed signs on a couple of state roads. So that letter has been sent out. We're waiting to hear back from DOT as far as approval goes, and we'll get those signs posted. Tonight, I would like consideration for a motion to support another letter from my office to DOT. And this is, our traffic sergeant deals with a host of things, but one of the things is when traffic lights go down, if they're town owned, then we do the investigation and we get quotes and purchase order, and we pay for repairs. But we have a number of state traffic lights, any state road where you see a traffic light, Route 5, 22, Maple Avenue, Quinnipiac Avenue, Montauk between Quinnipiac and Universal, and a few other ones. The state dictates how fast they come out to repair those. So they have a priority system. So if we call, say, Friday night, 8 o'clock at night, and it's 5:22, that's a high priority. They'll come right out and repair it. Some other ones, they'll wait until business hours. So Sergeant DePascal reached out to DOT asking to reevaluate some of the priorities so that, for example, State Street and Skiff, if that goes down, that should be a higher priority, in our opinion, than what it's classified as now. So they're looking for a letter from me in support of that. So I would just ask for consideration for a motion from the commission to support a letter for reevaluation of the priorities for the state traffic lights.
It seems like a no-brainer that this should take place, and I'll certainly entertain a motion.
Make that motion, so I would choose send that letter to DOT.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Hey Chief, is that gonna be detailed at like certain streets, or is it just that one you're concerned about?
No, there's a number of them. I can give you the locations if you like, or there's a lot of them.
As of yesterday, unless I'm mistaken, there were 2 out on Universal Drive.
So those are town-owned. That's not a state road.
Oh, really?
So both of those all of those are town-owned.
Okay.
The one that's been a problem for probably 2 years now in front of Barnes and Noble.
Right.
We have the latest update as far as a proposed fix for it, and that will be scheduled for either this Thursday or Friday to be repaired.
Oh, and then the one by BJ's Gas was out too.
I'm not aware of that one, but we can check on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to reset them. Other times we can have a company, a contractor come out and look at them.
Thanks.
Under personnel update, We have 3 officers who graduated from the police academy in January. They're in their 7th week of field training. We expect all 3 will be on their own in mid-April. Officer Schwab, who is a certified officer from New Haven, who was sworn in last month. He is on his own already now. He's working day shift. Officer Torres is in the police academy. She started January 5th. We expect her to graduate July 15th. We have 1 officer retiring due to an injury this month, and the individual who we're going to interview later tonight will be, if approved by the commission, will be earmarked for that position, which will bring us up to technically full staff. We still have 1 officer out with a long-term injury after knee surgery. We have 1 officer on light duty. So we're technically down 7 positions right now as far as who is out there contributing on the road. But in terms of hiring people, we're in good shape. We do have potential for 2 people who expressed interest in retiring this July, so that comes into consideration not only for potential promotions this year, because they're both sergeants, but also potential new hires over the next few months. We can talk more about that in the executive session. There's a background investigation that came to a close recently. Again, I'll give you details in the executive session regarding that. And like I said, we have an interview at 6:30 tonight. Under Uniform Services Division, January was again another busy month for calls for service. We responded to 2,360 calls for service, a total of 255 written reports, 83 motor vehicle accidents, and we continue to be higher than in years past with motor vehicle stops, with proactive policing, with 176 stops in January. We had 44 criminal arrests in January, but 7 stolen vehicles, 16 vehicle burglaries, and 41 total larcenies. And total larcenies is anything from shopliftings to catalytic converters to theft of a purse. So that's 41 just in January, compared to 31 last January and 25 the previous January. So our larcenies continue to tread high. We got a deputy and I have increased staffing on the overnight hours. We're paying the majority of that with grant funding and some operational budget funding. We continue to participate in the Violent Crime Task Force, which allows us to have intel sharing with the surrounding communities, which has helped and led to some arrests. And as you know, we made a request for more personnel for next fiscal year, which I believe is very important in terms of facing the trend of upward crime and calls for service and what the community is asking for. So under Investigative Services Division report, if you look in your packets, there's a detailed report that we're not going to go through every bullet point, but they continue to be very busy. They're doing a great job. They're still down 1 position there, so we hope to get that back up to full staff soon. They're following up on the 7 stolen vehicles when they're recovered. They process the vehicles and continue that investigation. In January, there were 3 commercial burglaries. There was 1 sexual assault that was reported in January. And just in the last couple of weeks, just to highlight some arrests that were made, at Big Y, there was on Washington Avenue, there was a wallet stolen. Somebody was distracted when somebody else came and stole a wallet from a shopping cart. So we made 1 arrest on that. But just to remind the public and anyone who watches this video, especially in the shopping areas, be very careful of your purses, your wallets. Be careful of being distracted, walking to your car, from your car to the store, and then back to your car. There's a lot of activity in those parking lots. There was 5 burglaries committed in 2023 that were tied to 1 suspect. Detectives were able to make an arrest of a 39-year-old individual from Hamden responsible for all 5 of those burglaries. That was a nice series of cases that were wrapped up. We had vehicle burglaries that were reported on Sackett Point Road, 4 juveniles. Officers responded, they all fled on foot, and all 4 were taken in custody. We had an incident where a 15-year-old was in a dispute with his 14-year-old girlfriend or friends. There was possibly an attempted robbery at some point during this dispute. The 14-year-old female was dragged by the 15-year-old suspect's vehicle. She sustained some serious injuries from that. We were able to make an arrest on that. He also had an active arrest warrant where he's a New Haven resident, but he had stolen a car in North Haven. Detectives were able to secure an arrest warrant. He was arrested for the assault first degree, for dragging the 14-year-old girlfriend, as well as the stolen vehicle. We had an arson arrest. An Amazon employee set fire to a room at the Amazon facility off Washington Avenue. It was a small fire, but just to note, this is one of our detectives was trained. It was extensive training. We talked about it in months past for fire investigations. So this was the first criminal arrest that stemmed from that relationship that we now have with the fire department. We integrate a detective and a fire investigator and work the case together. Just to bring that up this month. We have a subcontractor that worked for North Haven Business that stole over $500,000 worth of flooring material. Detectives again did a nice job, secured a search warrant and arrest warrant for that individual, and that case was closed out. In closing, there's no request for the Benary Scholarship this month, and everything else that I have is for executive session.
Awesome. Any questions? I've been hearing a lot of chatter from the public, the residents, how pleased they are with the job that the police department's doing, so. You both did great work and you have our support, and public support, so we're very appreciative of your efforts. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel matters.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay, we are back in open session after having completed an interview, an executive session. Can I entertain a motion to offer conditional offer of employment to Timothy Castelli?
I'll make that motion, if you want.
I'll second it.
All in favor, obviously conditional upon fulfilling all the requirements.
Yeah, I just make a motion that we offer Timothy Castelli a police officer job here.
Conditional offer.
Conditional
Police officer.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any further business? Motion for adjournment?
So move.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.